With gratitude and a strong feeling of love. Like the old fool I am, I believed her.
Even though you knew she had been involved with Max Holden?
Oh, she swore that was over. She only loved me. Apparently, the only me she loved was my bank account. The love of her life was still Max Holden. As everyone in this town knows who owns a radio.
I'm not sure I understand that remark.
Then allow me to enter into the record a portion of that radio broadcast Mr. Buchanan is referring to.
Objection. It's hearsay, Your Honor, and it's prejudicial.
Can't you read the transcript, Mr. Kilgore?
I think you ought to hear the defendant herself as she grabbed the microphone at a party broadcast from the Palace Hotel ballroom on New Year's Eve.
I'll allow it.
Loveline, maybe you could help me. What would you say about a young woman who was blackmailed into marriage by this very rich and very dirty old man? Even though she was madly in love with another man, a good man, a man who knew how to make her feel like a woman. And then on the day of her marriage to this old man, she and the man she truly loved made wild, passionate love right on top of her wedding dress. Oh yes, folks, only hours before she walked down the aisle.
So, in her own words, she slept with Max Holden on the day she was married. And did she commit adultery after that day?
In my own home. In the woods. In my stables. In the hot tub. On a flagpole for all I know. All I know is Max and that lady there cheated on me every chance they got. She broke my heart.
So let me see if I can get this straight. Your wife was taking birth control pills, and all the while she was claiming to you that she was pregnant. Why?
Well, that was another one of Blair's secret agendas. She was going to fake a miscarriage later on, so she'd have a perfect excuse not to sleep with me.
How did you know this?
She told me herself.
And when you found out that this heir you dreamed of, this child, was nothing more than a cruel hoax?
I had a very strong angina attack in front of Blair. I collapsed on my floor.
And how did she respond?
I begged her to give me my medication. She laughed at me. She threw a bunch of her birth control pills in my face. And she walked out and left me to die.
He is lying.
Is he? Did you love Max Holden? Did you and Max Holden sleep together whenever you could?
No!
Objection, Your Honor. Mrs. Buchanan is not on the witness.
Then why is she making a ruckus, Mr. Sims? Be seated, Mrs. Buchanan. Your time will come. But I want to caution you right now, Mrs. Buchanan. This court will not tolerate...
Call Max Holden to witness stand right now.
I don't know what he's going to say.
If nothing, Max Holden is straight arrow. He will not lie. He'll even get a big kick out of telling the truth now. If he knows he's sickening to me when he confesses the gory details of bedding down with my wife. Ironic, isn't it, Kilgore? The one man that can win this case with me is going to be old Max left.
I'm sure everyone in the courtroom understands exactly what's at stake for Mr. and Mrs. Buchanan.
So, Mr. Holden, is it true that from the moment you saw her across a crowded dance floor...
Yes, I fell in love with Blair Daimler.
And did you make your feelings known to her?
Yes, I did.
By sleeping with her?
By asking her to marry me.
And sleeping with her?
Several months after meeting her, I took her to my home in Texas. I told her I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her on the ranch.
And she told you she was in love with you, then, beneath a starry blanket of western sky.
Objection.
Sustained. Keep the purple prose to a minimum, Mr. Kilgore.
Yes, she told me she loved me.
And did she, Mr. Holden?
I thought so, but one morning I woke up and discovered that Blair disappeared from the ranch. Next thing I knew, she was back in Llanview planning her wedding to Asa.
Did it ever occur to you that might have been because she loved him?
Well, you would have to ask her about that. I thought she was doing it for the money, so she could buy a safe haven for her and her mother.
And where did that leave you, Mr. Holden?
Well, I thought that if she really did love me, she was making the biggest mistake of her life, so I tried to stop her.
By seducing her on her wedding day.
Objection.
Overruled. Continue, Mr. Holden.
I'll rephrase.
Now, I honestly believe that the seduction was mutual. When I left her that day, Blair, I thought, was on her way to call the wedding off.
But she didn't, did she? She married Asa, hoping perhaps she could have it all. An old husband with money, and then on the side, a handsome lover with youth and passion.
Objection! This is all speculation.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase. Mr. Holden, in your opinion, what did Blair Buchanan want?
I don't know. But I swear on everything I hold dear that I never made love to Blair again after that. Not after she turned her back on me and became Mrs. Asa Buchanan.
Not even once? In the woods, behind Serenity Springs?
No.
Could you repeat your answer, Mr. Holden? And please, bear in mind that you
What the
are...
hell is he saying?
My answer was...
Did something go on in those damn woods or not?
I don't know, Asa. Maybe he's protecting Blair or himself.
Somebody's lying. It better be Max Holden. Because if it's you, Kane, you're dead meat.
Yes, Your Honor.
Dad, you okay?
Oh. Yeah, I suppose so. Kevin, you know that sick feeling you get when you drive by a bad accident on the highway? And everybody's rubbernecking, and you have to slow down, and you try not to look. Well, that's the way it was starting to hit me in there. All the talk about adultery and broken marriages, smashed lives.
There, but for the grace of God, go I. Something happened between you and Mom that I don't know about?
No. It's nothing. Just your old man finding out that his old hide isn't quite as thick as he thought it was. You and Leanne run into each other here? I saw you sitting together inside.
No, actually, we did come together. We're going to be seeing a judge today ourselves.
About what?
Well, you probably don't want to know.
Try me.
Well, I decided that I was wrong about Duke. I mean, about keeping him away from his mom completely, so I decided to give her partial custody. You think I'm crazy, right?
Far from it. If you feel that you're doing what's for the best, then you go ahead and do it.
You were one of the ones that was encouraging me.
To what? To keep him away from Leanne? Yeah, I reckon I was. Let me ask you something. Did it make you any happier? Or Duke? Or anyone else? I think there's been enough hurting going on in his family. And it's time that somebody tried to bring about some healing. I say more power to you. In fact, I'm proud of you. Real proud, son.
So, the instant Blair said, "I do" to Asa, you fell out of love with her, just like that. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Holden? This burning passion you felt for each other in happier times, it just went out? There weren't any embers smoldering? The fire didn't blaze up again, not even once?
She was married. That was the end of it.
If that was the end of it, why did you and Blair keep seeing each other?
We didn't.
Mr. Holden, may I remind you that you are under oath.
Oh.
And I have here a stack of sworn affidavits by waiters, bartenders, maids, all witnesses to your meetings with Blair.
We did not have meetings. Llanview is a very small place. We would run into each other.
Over and over and over?
Oh.
At the Waterside Inn, at the country club, at Giorgio's, at Ace's own home?
Mr. Kilgore, we have probably run into each other at many of the same places. Are we having an affair?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Holden. I didn't fly to North Carolina in a private jet to see you when you were wounded, but Mrs. Asa Buchanan did. Without telling her husband, by the way. And didn't she have you flown back in private, in secret, to Llanview so you could have microsurgery? In other words, Mr. Holden, didn't Blair jeopardize her marriage to save your life? Isn't that the selfless act of a woman still very deeply in love? A love you couldn't help but return.
I have said this once before, and I will say it again. I am not in love with Blair Daimler.
Well, exactly when was the moment you fell out of love with her? This woman who used to obsess you night